Hey everybody, so this is part 2 of the 90-Day Fiance Happily Ever After recap. If you haven't watched part 1, please click the link and go watch part 1, and then we're going to pick up right where we left off with part 2, the last 3 couples. Alright, so we're going to start with Molly and Luis. So this episode starts out with Molly and Luis, where her mom has come by to visit and basically just have a discussion about what went on while she was on her business trip now that Molly's home. So Molly is telling Grandma what happened, and Grandma's asking questions like, has anything happened since I left? And basically, no, nothing has changed. She tells her mom about the conversation that she had with Luis about how he's not happy, she's not happy, nobody's happy. Luis doesn't want to be a father. He just doesn't want this life. And there's nothing that she can do about that. He's just not happy with his life there, and Molly pretty much wants him to go. But strangely enough, Luis is not gone. Molly's also telling her mom that ever since Luis came to America, he has changed here recently from the man that she thought he was going to be. He was cooking and cleaning and helping her around the house and helping her with the kids when he first got there. And then all of a sudden he changed and she feels like she got duped. No, Molly, Luis didn't change. Luis was playing the game as long as he possibly could to make you think that he wanted to be a part of your life, when really he just wanted to be a part of the American dream. He wanted to get to America. That's really what it boiled down to. He told you whatever it was that you needed to hear for you to be able to fly him there and move him into your house. He played the role for a little while, being good husband and good daddy, but eventually it just got to be too much because he simply don't like your kids. He don't like having to cook and clean while you gone to work all day. He does not like it. He wants the fun vacation life that he had in the DR. And that's just simply what it boils down to. She feels like he changed up on her. I really don't feel like he changed up on her. I feel like he just dropped the facade. He was playing an act before and he stopped playing that part. So I guess if you want to say that means he changed, okay, maybe, but he's really just being who he truly is, which is a slimy, grimy, shysty human being. Then later, Molly is tiptoeing in her own house, acting like she don't pay the bills there. She leans up against the door. Luis has locked himself in the bedroom, and Molly is gently knocking on the door, asking him to unlock the door, asking him to stop telling lies about her. It sounds like he's on the phone with somebody telling them that Molly has a boyfriend or telling some kind of lies about her. Basically trying to spin the story to make it seem like he's the victim and Molly has done him wrong, and that's why their relationship is falling apart. So Molly's knocking on the door, trying to get him to open, telling him to come out, and he's saying he wants to call the police, and Molly's like, you can't call the police because I haven't done anything to you. Molly, let him call the police. Like, that will probably be the best case scenario. Once the police arrive, you can tell them, hey, this man is in my house. I no longer want him here. I'm going to need him to pack his bags. Can y'all please escort him out? Luis needs to go, bottom line, point blank, period. There is nothing else that we need to discuss. This relationship has crashed and burned. It's over. It's done. It's finished. There's nothing good that can come of it. He doesn't want to be a father. He doesn't want to be your husband. He needs to go, and he needs to go now. Stop knocking on that door. Molly, you're built like a refrigerator. Why don't you use that strong back and knock up against that door and push it off the frame and get him up out of there? This is your house, girl. Molly is so gentle and sweet, and I really like her personality. But she's a pushover. She needs to stand up for herself. This man all walking all through your house like he runs something. He ain't paid now bills since he been there. I know he hasn't. And why are you feeling unsafe in your own home? So fast forward, Luis finally comes out once Molly goes downstairs to vacuum or do something. Luis comes out. He comes downstairs. Molly hears him. I'm like, girl, this your chance. Get him. Does she? No. He comes downstairs, he gets the speaker off of the mantle and just goes right back upstairs. The producers are trying to ask him what's going on, what's his plan. Luis does not answer. Instead, Luis decides to turn the party up. Luis was like, hey, 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 hey. Just turning up in the house. I mean, the music is loud. We getting down right now. He goes back in the room, locks the door again, and Molly runs upstairs and is like, hey, turn that music down. Don't nobody want to hear all that. So she starts getting stressed. Her anxiety is high. She's like, this is what I have to deal with every day. Don't nobody want to hear all that. I'm like, girl, you dealing with this every day. You need to snatch that man up. He's running your house. Like, he has run you out of your own house. He's locking doors. First of all, we don't lock no doors in nobody's house. Second of all, he's blasting loud music at all times of the day. And you have not put this man out. I don't understand, Molly. What is the problem? Dial 911. tell them he is no longer welcome, and get him up out of there. Like, this is not rocket science. Molly finally just freaks out and says she's about to snap. Like, she can't take any more. And I'm like, yes, girl, go ahead and snap. Go snap on him. Girl, do it to him. So she goes in the bathroom and comes out with a screwdriver, a knife, or something. I'm like, oh, Molly about to cut him. She about to stab him. Yes, I'm leaning in. I'm ready for the stab. But she just used it to unlock the door. I was like, dang, I thought she was going to stab him. But she didn't. She just used it to unlock the door. And that's how it ends. I mean, it cuts to Louise opening the door right as she's trying to unlock it with the screwdriver, knife, whatever it was. And that's how it ends with them. So we'll see if Louise actually does get out next week. I don't know. But that's it for them. Let's move on to the next couple. All right, so next is Chantel and Pedro. So Chantel and Pedro start out packing up this episode to leave the cabin from hell. So the vacation is finally over and they're finally leaving. So they all pile into the car and they ride silently back to Atlanta. Now, I don't know how far away this cabin was. I'm assuming it was probably an hour, maybe 2 drive. It was the saddest drive home I've ever seen in my life. Nobody was really talking. Everybody was acting like they were pissed off Chantel and Pedro the most because they basically just spent the whole week being disrespected by her family. Her mom tries to talk in the front seat and say some lame mess like, best vacation ever. And I was like, girl, good night. That was the worst vacation ever. That was literally the vacation to the center of hell, the 7th circle and back. So when they get back to Atlanta, they get out of the car and start to unload Pedro and Chantal's stuff because they're at their apartment. I'm assuming they dropped them off first. And Father Thomas starts talking in his robotic voice. And you know what? I actually realized that the whole family are robots. Chantel talks in that robotic voice. The mama talks like a robot sometimes too. And the dad is definitely a Stepford husband. I mean, I can just see myself peeling off his faceplate and seeing all the inner workings going on. But he was like, did you guys enjoy yourselves? Did y'all have a good time on the family vacation? Like, dude, who talks like that? Like, these people are not normal human beings. Pedro's basically not here for it. He's not with it. He's tired of them. He has spent 4 days in hell with this family. They've already said that they're going to investigate his family for God knows what, and he is just done. So he doesn't even say anything. Nobody says anything. Chantel doesn't say anything. River, spring, summer, fall, winter, stream, babbling brook, none of them say anything. And so, you know, Pedro starts to get his suitcase and just walks off. And he was like, I don't feel like I have to say bye to them because they treated me bad the whole weekend. And I want them to apologize for what they said about my family. Yeah, that'll happen. Chantel's family is going to apologize to Pedro on the same day that David gets a vasectomy and pays back the dowry and George stops telling lies. It's not going to happen. Chantel just tells her family, you know, I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. I'm tired. I'm going in too. So even she was done. And so they go on back home. So fast forward, Pedro is in the gym working out and he FaceTimes his sister Nicole. Oh my God. How do I share a name with so many disreputable characters? Like, I don't get it. Why, Lord? So they FaceTime each other and he's basically telling them all the stuff that happened on the trip, how the family wants to do an investigation on them. And, you know, Nicole's just like, oh my God, that's so stupid. Like, why? Why would they do that? And so that's when they start discussing her coming to visit. And so he offers to have her come stay at their 1-room apartment for a couple weeks, and she gladly accepts because she wants to spend time with her brother. And they start to kind of talk about Chantel. Nicole basically tells a little bit of a lie. She says that she has no problem with Chantel. Chantel's a problem with her. That is not true. Neither one of these girls like each other, but I feel like his sister was trying to play like the good girl in the moment and basically say, it's Chantel that has the problem, not me. I'm going to be in my best behavior. So fast forward later, Chantel put on her heels and her freakum dress so they could go down to Mesa Furniture and buy discount sofas. They're looking around at the sofas and Chantel's looking at the prices and trying to pick which one she likes. So they sit down so they can have this little conversation that was staged by the producers. Pedro nervously tells Chantel that his sister is coming to stay for a couple weeks, which Chantel quickly says that's a long time, and it is because they literally live in a studio apartment and they sleep next to their kitchen. So where is the sister supposed to be sleeping? Is she gonna make her bed up on the countertop? I guess they're gonna put a pillow and a comforter on top of the kitchen counter because I don't know where else she would sleep. Maybe the toilet, the floor, maybe they have an air mattress. I'm not really sure where she plans on sleeping for these 2 weeks, but anyway, Pedro then admits that he actually already bought his sister's ticket to come see them from the Dominican Republic, and Chantel is pissed. And she's pissed because basically she says that Pedro never bought her a ticket during any of the time that they dated while she was going to the DR to visit him. Pedro was not expecting this. This was a total curveball because he was expecting her to be mad about the sister coming. He had already built up his defenses. He was ready to come back with the argument. He was prepared for Chantal to go ballistic about the sister staying for so long. He was not expecting her to be pissed about him paying for her ticket. He really didn't know how to respond, so he tried to come back with the, oh baby, that's in the past, you know, we weren't even together, you're my wife now, you were just my girlfriend. But then Chantal hits him with the, we were engaged. And Pedro has no response, no defense at all. Really, Chantal just needs to get it through her head that she comes last. In Pedro's mind, his family comes before her. In Pedro's culture, or in Pedro's family, I'm not sure which, blood is thicker than a piece of paper. A marriage license to them is just a piece of paper. It's something that can be undone. If he divorces Chantel, he is on his own, you know. Wives and girlfriends come and go, but mothers are forever. He feels like his blood, which is his mom and his sister, are pretty much his real family, and he feels like that bond with them is stronger than the one with Chantel, and that's why Chantel is at the bottom of the list right now. Basically, he will bend over backwards to please his mom and sister because that's blood. He won't do the same for Chantel. I think he does love Chantel, but his family just comes first, and that's backwards. I mean, it's not right, but that's his reality, and that's what Chantel needs to figure out if she wants to be with this man. If she can't get with that, the fact that his family comes before her, this relationship might not work. Now I'm going to address something real quick because I know some people were talking about Pedro's mom being a lawyer and saying, well, if she's a lawyer, how is it that she needs so much help from Pedro? I don't really think that Pedro's mom is a lawyer in the sense that we think of lawyer. Like when we think of lawyer, we think of someone who makes quite a bit of money or at least has a decent living wherever they're from. I don't think lawyers in the DR are quite the same. I think that the only thing that Pedro's mom does is help people get their visas. I think she just does the paperwork. She's basically a paralegal. So think of what a paralegal is in the United States. I think that's the equivalent of a lawyer in the DR. She doesn't make that much money. She probably does decent, but she's definitely not rich by any means. I definitely don't think the term lawyer is the same as it is here. I don't think she's making the big bucks. I just don't think that they have, that country is so impoverished that I just don't think, no matter what profession she picks, I don't think that she's ever going to make like a whole bunch of money. And like I said, I pretty much think that she's a paralegal, honestly. She just moves paperwork, helps people walk through whatever, sign, blah, blah, blah. She gets a cut. I don't think she's rich. That's why Pedro has to send so much money home. But like I said, in Pedro's mind, his family comes first. And Chantal just needs to realize this. Either she needs to just be cool with it or not be. But that's the reality that she's living in. She comes third behind mama and sister. So she can either get right or get left. But that's pretty much it for them. So let's move on to the last couple. Last is Jorge and Anfisa. So this particular couple segment is sponsored by the number 5. 5 because that's how many blatant lies George told in this episode, and we're going to break them down one by one. Oh yes, this man has gone from just simply tricking to a gold digger who he brought from Russia, telling her that he had all this money, to a full-blown, full-fledged pathological liar. George has issues. He has lying problems, and we're going to address them. We're going to call them out one by one, starting with the first. So this episode starts out with them, with Anfisa saying that she was stupid through George's phone because George has all these friends that he's always going and hanging out with, and she's never met any of them. So she wants to know what George is doing, who he's hanging out with. So she sees in his phone that he's supposed to be hanging out with his friend Ramon, so she's just going to invite herself to the party. She basically says that, you know, in Russian they have a saying that loosely translated is, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Basically, whoever you hang around is who you are. And so she wants to know who these people are that George has been hanging around. So when George gets home, she asks him, what is he doing tonight? That was a test. And Anfisa knows that George is a liar and that he lies all the time. So now instead of just coming out and telling him, hey, I know you're going out with your friend Ramon tonight, I'm coming too, she wants to see if George will lie to her. So she tests him first, which he actually passed this one. She asked him what he was doing tonight. He pauses, probably debating whether or not he should lie, but then he decides to go ahead and tell the truth. And he says, well, I'm going out with my friend Ramon. And Anfisa says she's going too. They jump in the car. And Anfisa's driving the whip this time. So George is sitting in the front seat. He has his phone in his hand pretty much the whole time they're riding. And now we're going to break down lie number 1. So they're riding in the car, and Anfisa is asking George what Ramon and him talk about when they're together. And he kind of hems and haws and says blah, blah, blah. And so she says, well, do you talk about me? And George says, no. Well, yes. Well, I don't remember. But then when we cut to Ramon's segment, he says that him and George met up 2 weeks ago. So you mean to tell me you can't remember whether or not you talked about Anfisa 2 weeks ago? Well, either way, whether he decides to remember or not, we have it on tape. And we know that he talked about Anfisa in that conversation. So that was the first lie that can quickly be brought down by a simple rewinding of the tape. Immediately when George stumbles over his words, Anfisa gives a look like, I know you're lying. So Anfisa knows he's lying, George knows he's lying, we know he's lying. All he does is lie. So they get to the restaurant and Ramon's there. Ramon is surprised to see Anfisa because he didn't know she was coming. So in his interview, he basically says, I didn't know she was going to come. She walked in. Ramon's a little nervous because he doesn't know what to think of Anfisa. I'm sure all he's seen is the clips of her backhanding George, slapping him upside his head and screaming because he calls her Cruella de Vil. And so George in his interview says that there was no time at all to tell Ramon that Anfisa was coming and that, you know, it just happened all so fast. Well, that was lie number 2 because we saw George riding in the car. He wasn't driving, so there's no texting and driving laws being broken here. He had his phone in his hand the entire ride. He could have easily quickly texted Ramon, hey, my wife is coming too, just giving you a heads up. So he lied even in the interview and said that there wasn't any time for him to let Ramon know that Anfisa was coming to the little dinner. So in Ramon's little interview, he says that Anfisa did some prostitutorial work, which I'm kind of wondering where he learned that word. Did he learn it at a spelling bee? Ramon, your word is prostitutorial. Prostitutorial. All right. Can you use it in a sentence? My homeboy's wife does prostitutorial work on web camera. All right. All right. Okay. Okay. Prostitutorial. Prostitutorial. I'm sorry, Ramon, but that is incorrect. So apparently Anfisa does prostitutorial work. And so basically he's talking about what him and George discussed the last time and that he's a little nervous. George is nervous because he's scared that Ramon's going to spill the beans and say that he talked about Anfisa when he just lied and told Anfisa he didn't talk about her. So George is constantly running around scared that his own lies will go come back to bite him in the behind. Lie number 3. When they all sit down, George says, I wanted you to meet my wife. No, George, you did not want Ramon to meet your wife, which is why you tried to convince her not to come to this dinner. George did not invite Anfisa. Anfisa snooped through his phone and invited herself. It was not part of the plan for her to come at all. So I don't know why George felt the need to lie to Ramon and say, oh, the reason why she's here is because I wanted you to meet her. He had no intentions of them ever meeting. That was not a part of his plan. He was going to go to this dinner by himself. Anfisa invited herself and cramped his plans. So I don't know why he feels the need to lie to Ramon and tell him, oh, she came because I wanted you to meet her. No, George, all you had to say was, oh, she decided at the last minute that she wanted to come. And so that was why she came. I mean, you couldn't tell the truth without totally ratting out your whole story. I guess George doesn't want to look like a punk to Ramon, so he just said, I wanted you to meet her. But that was another lie. At this point in the show, Anfisa is the most insightful person, and I really don't know how to feel about that. She basically says she doesn't know how to feel about Ramon because she feels like he's not being his true, genuine self, which he wasn't. She said she felt like he wasn't acting how he normally would act with George because she's not there. So she doesn't really know what kind of person he is. She asked him, is he married? Because he said something about women being in the studio and how you can't talk how you want to talk, and Ramon says yes, and I was surprised by that, but you know, hey, Ramon has a wife apparently somewhere at home. Good for him. And so Anfisa was a little bit relieved by that because that kind of means that George might behave around him because he has a wife too. Meanwhile, George is sitting over to the side sweating bullets because he's scared that Ramon's going to spill the beans that they discussed her and the tell-all business at the last meeting that they had. Lie number 4 was when Ramon offered to toast to them getting back together. He was like, let's celebrate. I'm so happy you two have made up. But then George says that no, she doesn't drink and I don't drink, so we're not going to do a toast. And then TLC quickly shows a clip back from their first meeting when they both had margaritas and clinked and toast, and George was drinking. So then in his interview, Ramon was like, I think if Anfisa wasn't there that George would have drank. George straight up lied. He lied and said, me and her don't drink, that's not our thing. He even got in his interview and even furthered the lie by saying, me and Anfisa don't drink, that's not our thing. George, if you drink, that's fine. If Anfisa doesn't drink, that's fine. All you have to do is say, hey Ramon, Anfisa doesn't drink, so we're not going to be having alcohol this time. And leave it at that. You don't have to admit that you drank the last time. I think George is constantly scared that he's going to get caught in a lie, so he just tells another one when it's not even necessary. All he had to do was say Anfisa doesn't drink, so we're not going to be ordering alcohol, and leave it at that. He didn't. That's not a lie, and it gets him off the hook from her knowing that he did drink before if he didn't want her to know that. I don't understand why he just feels the need to constantly continue to tell lies. Fast forward, Jorge and Anfisa have this cute little intimate dinner together, and they whisper sweet nothings in each other's faces. Jorge suggests that they go on vacation soon, but Anfisa quickly shoots that down and says, I would rather build a relationship with your family. I know they don't like me, and you never talk about your family to me, and so she kind of wants to mend that relationship. I don't know why, but I guess she's trying to mend the whole relationship, which includes the relationship with Jorge's side of the family. Jorge is trying to be like, nah, and Anfisa's trying to get him to admit that his family talks crap about her all the time, but he still doesn't want to do it. She somehow convinces him to call his sister Lourdes right there on the phone. Thank God she doesn't answer. I'm sure Jorge sent up a prayer to sweet baby Jesus that she wouldn't pick up the phone so that all his lies will not be exposed. And of course she did not. Anfisa admits that it hurts her feelings when his family talks about her really bad, and Jorge doesn't take up for her. And Jorge is basically, like I've said before, a people pleaser. He does whatever he says whatever he has to say around whoever he's around so that basically they won't get mad at him. So when his family's talking crap about Anfisa, he doesn't defend her because he doesn't want conflict. So later in the interview, the producers are asking them questions, and they're sitting down together, and they ask him, you know, when was the last time that he spoke to his sister Lourdes? And he says he doesn't remember. And so here comes lie number 5. The producer basically was fed up with Jorge lying, or she just really wanted some drama because she outed Jorge so smooth and clean and professionally and swiftly that I was here for it. So she basically says, oh, was it when you went to go see the divorce lawyers? And there is an immediate look on Jorge's face like, girl, why you say that? Jorge gives her the no eyes, and Anfisa is like blinking like, what are you talking about? And when it dawns on her what they just said, she immediately gets up to run out of the room. Jorge is grabbing her, honey, about to pull that little top off of her chest. And he was like, I don't know what they're talking about. I didn't go see no lawyer. I didn't go see no lawyer. And she was like, no, let me go. I'm done talking to you. I'm done. And Jorge's like, I don't know what she's talking about. I didn't go see a lawyer. And so they kind of cut forward a little bit, and then Anfisa's standing there talking to Jorge like, you don't know what she's talking about. He's like, no. And she's like, you may as well go ahead and tell me the truth now because it's going to be worse when I find out. And I was like, Jorge, just go ahead and tell the truth, bro. She already slapped you upside your head. She done screamed at you. She done took your phone and changed your password and locked you out and everything. The next thing she can do is stab you. That's all that's next. She going to go full Jodi Arias on you. Boy, please tell her the truth. He chooses to not tell her, so Anfisa's like, okay, cool, we about to call Lourdes right now. Get your phone out. So Jorge pulls out his cracked Android screen and he starts scrolling through the numbers, acting like he don't know who Lourdes is and he ain't never seen her name nor spelled it, like he can't find it. And Anfisa snatches the phone from him and is like, oh, you need some help? And she dials the number and the phone's ringing. And Jorge is sweating and we watching and nobody's breathing. Jorge is sending up silent prayers to God. Please don't let Lourdes pick up this phone, because Anfisa's like, all you need to do is ask her, did you go see the lawyers? That's it. Don't say nothing else. Do you remember talking to some lawyers? Anfisa is done with Jorge and his lies. She is trying to get to the bottom of this So thank God Lourdes did not answer the phone, but Anfisa's basically like, dude, what do you need to tell me? Like, stop lying. And Jorge just won't. He was like, no, I'm not worried about it because it's not going to be worse. And I'm like, dude, she going to murder you. She's going to murder you. She's going to murder you. This is going to be on an episode of Snap. They're going to go from TLC to Oxygen because Anfisa is going to murder Jorge once she finds out that he lied about going to the divorce lawyers. I'm telling you, she going to go full Jodi Arias, slit the throat from ear to ear, shoot him in the chest and the groin 6 times, and then take pictures of him in the shower. I mean, this cannot end well, Jorge. You have got to stop lying. Like, Jorge, listen to me, baby. Your life depends on this. I'm not kidding. Like, I'm scared of Anfisa at this point because I feel like her rage is just building. And the more he lies, every lie he tells, that's going to be one knife slash. The producers are kind of talking to her. She's crying. She is just so upset because she is tired of him lying, and I'm tired of it too. And so Jorge tries to put his arm around her. I'm like, dude, not now. Don't touch her, for she stabbed you right here. And so the producers ask Anfisa, are y'all going to leave together right now? And she's like, I don't know. And that's how it ends with them. Jorge, you have got to stop lying, dude. Like, it's not worth it. At the end of the day, it's not even worth it to keep lying like this to your wife. I don't understand. I mean, I get it that you might want to tell some little lies to try to get out of things, but it's gone past white lies at this point. It's like lie after lie after lie. And it's things that we have seen, things that we have recorded on tape, things that she can watch with us right now. I'm like, what is the point of lying when you're being filmed and it's going to air? Like, she's going to see that you went to the divorce lawyers. Did you forget there were cameras with you when you went? Anfisa going to kill Jorge, y'all. I think she's gonna murder him. I really think she will. I think she's gonna murder him. Yeah, they're gonna be on Snapped. But that was it. This episode had so much, y'all had to do it in 2 parts. So thank you guys for sticking through this with me and watching both parts. Like I said, if you didn't watch part 1, please go back and watch it. And then you can get caught up with part 2, the last 3 couples. So once again, as always, if you want to follow me on Twitter and watch my crazy live tweets during this amazing show while it airs live, at Nikki P Tweets, NICHI_P_tweets. Thank you to all my new subscribers. Thank you to every single one of you who watch me every single week, who send me likes and comments and just make my life so much better by watching this amazing, crazy, stupid, ridiculous, trashy show with me. I love you guys so much, and thanks for watching.